The last time we talked about the decision-making and selection process that led us to purchasing a solar power system for our house with battery and inverter, and what led to the decision. My approach to be happy that the house works for us might not be the same reasoning you have for watching these videos. You might want to save money, or you're idealistic about the choice pro solar power. I am pro solar, but with many things these days you can't have a grey zone opinion. You're either pro or contra. So I want to discuss in this video a little bit the upside as well as the downside of it, and so to speak the limitations of current solar power systems in-house applications. Disclaimer: I can't include direct kilowatt prices or money because this is depending on where you live. Some countries are more pro-solar than others, and at the end, the different systems dictate also parameters you have to put into account. So enough talk, let's get to the meat and be prepared. Boring graphs incoming. First, parameters. We have 9.1 kilowatt peak on the roof, 7.7 kilowatt battery in the cellar, and approximately 9 megawatt of production per year, which is 9,000 kilowatt hours. Following the principle of the Nuremberg funnel, we start with a general idea, then go into the details. This graph shows blue, the energy consumption, orange, the energy conversion or production, and yellow, energy you needed for your own purposes, including the energy you used charging the battery and converting it back into current you used up over a period of a year. Commissioning of the solar power system was in 2021, and 2022 was the first full year of solar power generation. Rule of thumb is that for every kilowatt peak you produce about 1000 kilowatt hours, and for us that is nearly true. You also see that over nearly every period we produced more than we needed, and from April to October we are mostly feeding into the grid. Given right now we don't have an electrical car and use a gas heating system instead of an air heat pump or a split device, so our need for electrical energy is quite low at the moment. Low light months here are November, December and January. The next screen shows a good day with a lot of production and a nice bell curve showing the distribution of light over an average April day. I introduce also a new green line. This is the charging line and shows when the battery is charging. On a regular summer day, charging starts at 6 in the morning, where there is more production than needed, so the battery is charged. If you consume energy, then firstly, the energy comes from direct light conversion to the house grid, then the battery, and then from the grid. The blue peaks are showing when energy is needed for cooking or secondary water heater or other devices coming on. Then you can see that the blue line comes back to the basic level. This is our basic energy consumption of approximately 300 watts an hour, which is roughly 7.2 kilowatt hours per 24 hours. Remember what we talked about in the beginning, that the battery is 7.7 kilowatt of capacity? And I still can't explain why the battery is charged with 10 kilowatt in this graph, which is also a point I want to talk about later. Now from a bad December's day, today. The time where it is bright enough for production is between 10 AM and 2 PM, but still enough for cover about 50% of our energy consumption. And again, it shows how much the blue baseline consumption reduces the stored energy over a couple of hours. So here you have it. I want to draw a mixed conclusion. In general, you don't make a mistake if you decide pro-solar. It will come around over time. How long is depending on your parameters. But still, even with the rising energy costs, I would refrain from lending money for it. It is something you have then, but it doesn't improve quality of life, and if you have bad or faulty components, it doesn't help with it, right? And if you lend money for it, it will prolong your return on invest, and then you will need to replace parts like inverters during your financing time, and this will prolong your return on invest even more. For us, our return on invest got down quite substantially with the current developments, so we were lucky. But this is not a normal state, and without that we were looking at a return on invest of about 10 to 13 years. On the downside, even the baseline consumption sucks every available watt out of the battery without cooking or water heating on a dark day. So storage capacity or energy density is in general too low and too expensive. But this appears to be a temporal problem. Also, in the past 2 years, kilowatt peak numbers have not risen. They are still around 0.4 kilowatt peak per standard panel, and now you pay about 40% more as of December 2022. So this relation has to become better. Then low light efficiency has to improve as well, at least for me to put panels also on the other side of the roof. It is also not a quick fire investment where you see income immediately, so you have to be patient. That works for me as I dwell on the thought that the house is also working for us, and for that I just have to be patient and watching the energy costs go down. Then a tip where it gets a bit esoteric. If your general energy consumption is low, or you have other sources of heat like wood, then you're better off just replacing old devices with newer ones. And you could also cover a portion of your energy consumption with balcony solar panels. Also, always try to find the real cost to replacement ratio. And if you decide pro solar, try to buy modular solar panels, inverter and battery, and buy quality parts. Don't buy features you don't need. A swiveling battery and inverter in one housing? Come on. I can't think of a point in my life where I was so bored to think, let's get into a cellar and swivel a battery. Also, think about the fire hazards and ask your supplier about it. If you like what you hear, feel free to like and subscribe. Thank you very much.